Hi, and welcome back to another video. And last night we finally got um the election results to the Ontario election that was recalled by Conservative Premier Doug Ford of the Progressive Conservatives. And we saw what we've been expecting the entire campaign, and I made a video on it when Doug Ford launched or called the election, and I predicted that Doug Ford would win by a huge margin. Well, what has happened? Obviously, Doug Ford did win by that big margin, uh, and that mandate he wanted to fight Trump. However, this mandate is now smaller than what it was. Sure, he has this big conservative majority, just like he got in 2022, but it is much smaller. How small are you asking? Well, take a look at this. Doug Ford, his party, last election, winning 83 seats, 40% of the vote. He has won 80 seats. And he has lost 3 seats, despite getting, this big majority. He still has those 80 seats he needs, or that big majority he needs. The NDP staying in the opposition, just like in 2022, where before they had 28 seats. She won 27 seats. So they lost 4 seats compared to the election where they had above 30. They no longer do, and so both the Conservatives and the NDP has dropped. And we also have the Liberals, who were expecting to become the opposition, not expected to win at all, but possibly they were second in the polls. So they have once again failed to become the opposition. And however, they and the Greens have gone up. The Greens only won 1 seat as expected. And the Liberals actually made some ground here, where they actually won 6 seats. However, Liberals doing very poorly. As you can see here, their leader, Bonnie Crombie, losing her seat to the Progressive Conservatives. Does this take me to it? No, this is just the does it show here? It doesn't even have the votes in yet. Yeah, it doesn't even show yet. Oh no, it does it? No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But the Liberals actually did really poorly here. The Liberals actually did really poorly here. Despite winning 6 seats, despite going from 9 to 14 seats, and 1.5 million Canadians in Ontario voting for her and her party is now above party status. That being, I believe it's 12 to 13 seats, and they won 14. They were able to gain 6 seats. But still, this is a disaster within itself, because not only has their party leader lost and is no longer a member of the legislature or a member of parliament, they are just above party status. They were expected, if they wanted this to go well, they would have, been able to become in the opposition. Sure, the NDP did lose some seats. Sure, they have less seats than before or previously. But still, they are the opposition, and they were able to win 27 seats, remaining in the opposition. Doug Ford, despite having a smaller mandate than previously in the last election, still has a big majority. And the Liberals have failed to make any ground. Sure, they won 6 seats, but the only really success they made was going back into double-digit seat territory and, getting that status of a party, which really is a small accomplishment, and when you look at it, it is really sad. So I think the Liberals have, once again, they really have to do some soul searching. And if I were the Liberals, I'd probably be demanding for the resignation of Bonnie Crombie as leader, as she's not even a member of parliament anymore. And last night she announced that despite that, she's remaining on as leader. And there's going to be questions on how she can do that as no longer a member of parliament, being voted out. But yeah, we will see how that goes. Now the Greens, right, expected they had 1 seat before, or before they had 2 seats, they won 2 seats, so it's a flip 1 seat. 242,000 Canadians in Ontario voted for them. But the Conservatives, Doug Ford and the Progressive Conservatives, still have this wide, or this big majority. Sure, it is smaller than previously, and the Conservatives lost 3 seats, but still, it is a big majority. And now Doug Ford is able to stay on as premier for another maybe 4 years to be able to combat the Trump presidency. He called this election, he got it out of the way, and now he has the power to finally combat Trump. Now, you could argue that that this election was a waste of time and money because Doug Ford already had this wide majority, like in 2022, where he was able to win. He gained 16 seats, 167, 83, and he had this wide majority over the NDP and even the Liberals, who did worse, this time around than the other election. I mean, I guess it's, how you look at it. And, you can make that argument. Doug Ford already had this majority. Why already call this election? Why waste all that time, all that money, all that message, all of it? Well, Doug Ford probably wanted to get this election out of the way because if things go bad again federally for the Liberals, and Pierre Poilievre is elected prime minister, then in 2026 or June 2026, where this election is the latest to be called, then and if the Conservatives federally are down by then, as the governing party, or if things go bad, Doug Ford could risk losing the election as premier, and could risk his maybe Conservatives falling into the opposition, or maybe down to third. But still, he has decided to call this election, get it out of the way, and to be able to combat Donald Trump and Trump's tariffs for the rest of Trump's term. Now, you could either say it's a smart move, or you could say it's a waste of time. I believe you could say it's both. But now, Doug Ford does have this majority, whether you like it or not. Sure, he lost, right? He lost some seats. He did. But now he has this big majority, and he is able to combat the Trump administration. Now, there's still a lot to discuss about the Liberals and how they're going to, deal with this leadership crisis. As last night, there were already reports of some revolt against Bonnie Crombie. Despite her saying that she was going to stay on as leader, and she was able to tout some accomplishments, saying that, we're back to party status, and we're back to double digits in our seats. But still, they failed to be elected as the opposition to be able to combat Doug Ford. So I don't think her arguments are valid. And you now have this leadership crisis within the Liberal Party of Ontario. And it's going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out, and I'm very excited for whenever we get updates. But this election was certainly very interesting to watch, and it only took 10 minutes for the Conservatives, or 5 minutes actually, for CTV News to call this election for the Progressive Conservatives of Ontario. But, like I said, we do have this Liberal leadership crisis, and where Crombie lost her seat to a Conservative, still staying on the Liberal leader, it is still very unclear on how she is going to lead the party despite not having a seat, despite being an unelected person. I'm sure there's going to be revolt. I am sure there are going to be challenges to her leadership that she is trying to combat. And I'm sure there's going to be pressure towards her, and they're going to urge her to resign and step down. And I'm sure there's already discussion, there's already talk with members of her own party saying this is unacceptable and that she has to go. And I'm sure there's other sides or other talks with her party that want her to stay on. Maybe that believe, she helped the Liberals, in the election. She got them back to double digits. She got them back to status party. So I think her party could be very divided on what to do, how to combat Doug Ford, how to combat the NDP, the Progressive Conservatives, all of it. And I still think there's a lot to go here on what will happen. As you can see here, she will stay in the head of the party, even though Global News is projecting she will not get elected to Ontario's legislator. She took down the party in 2023, lost Progressive Conservative candidate Sylvia Granda in the seat by just under 1,200 votes. So it's still unclear what's going to happen to Bonnie Crombie, but she is saying that she's going to stay on. And like I said before, I'm sure there's challenges, and it's only a matter of time until we see whatever develops from this leadership crisis and from this election result. I'm sure there will be so much more interesting stuff that happens to whatever the Liberals decide to do. And whatever does happen, I will update you guys. I will be making videos, and I am actually very grateful. This is the first time since the 2024 presidential election in the United States, where I've made a prediction and it wasn't wrong. Well, actually, no, I was wrong, but I got some races right. But still, this is the first election I have predicted in a while where I said the conservatives were going to win huge by this big mandate. There was some skepticism where the surge polling of the federal liberals could have costed Doug Ford the election. Fortunately for Doug Ford, and fortunately for the progressive conservatives, that was not the case. That was not, and Bonnie Crombie did endorse Mark Carney at the last minute to try and ride on his search, but unfortunately that did not work out for her, and they were only able to pick up 5 seats. So the Liberals now have more seats than previously, but only 5. They only have they're back to party status, but their leader is an unelected member of parliament. And it's going to be interesting how they deal with that and where we go from now after this election. But anyways, that is the video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you did, please like the video and subscribe. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye.